Hello, everyone. My name is Danny, and I am reviewing Rebel in the Rye. The world of legendary writer J.D. Salinger is brought vividly to life in this revealing look at the experiences that shaped one of the most renowned, controversial, and enigmatic authors of our time. Set amidst the colorful backdrop of mid-20th century New York City, Rebel in the Rye follows a young Salinger, who is Nicholas Hoult from Mad Max and About a Boy, as he struggles to find his voice, pursues a love affair with famed socialite Una O'Neill, who is Zoe Deutch, and fights on the front lines of World War II. It's these experiences that will inform the creation of his masterpiece, The Catcher in the Rye, bringing him overnight fame and notoriety and leading him to withdraw from the public eye for the rest of his life. Co-starring Kevin Spacey and Sarah Paulson, Rebel in the Rye offers a tantalizing window into the life and times of a little-understood genius who broke the rules and redefined American literature. This film is rated PG-13 with a runtime of 109 minutes, and it says 2016 Rebel movie. It says 2018 IFC in theaters. So what does that ever mean? I always get confused by that. We'll just say it's 2017 because it says 2016 and 2018. We'll do the law of averages. But I always get confused when it says that stuff. So this also stars Kevin Spacey. And I tell you, it's quite something. Get into the notes here. The first thing I wrote down, because I didn't know what to expect with this movie, I tried to ask somebody about it, and they're like, well, I think I've read the book one time, Catcher in the Rye, but I don't know what that movie is about. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I'll just watch it, and I'll let you know. And so I was going into it pretty blind. I just wrote down that it has great comedy. I didn't know if it was going to keep going the whole time, but the whole first part of the movie, it was okay, and it was kind of getting off to a slow start, and I was like, oh, okay, well, and then I just was like, when somebody made a snap comment, I was like, oh, I was reacting to the movie that way. Like, it was good. Had a couple of good puns, had a couple good stabs, and there was a line about, well, was your father impressed? And the guy said, no. I'm like, yep, that's good. Yep, no, nobody's father is ever impressed, are they? So it's very real with the comedy, and it's really real of a movie. But we'll get more into that here in a minute. I had to write this down, and I want to be able to remember this, so when I come back and watch this movie review, this is something that is said, and it is more real than anybody knows. And I'm just so glad this movie said it, because then it can kind of have a staple in my mind, because it says this one thing, and nobody else will say stuff like this, but this movie did. Every time a girl does something halfway cute, you fall halfway in love. Just let that sink in. Let it surround you for a second. People, this movie is about a writer, probably one of the greatest writers in our history, and I know a little bit of the background of real life, that it was controversial and all that, and it covers all that in this movie. But whenever you're watching a movie that's about writing, it better have some darn good writing. And that is darn good writing. That is a way to think about things. Just try proving that that's not true. when you're around your significant other. Every time a girl does something halfway cute, you fall halfway in love. That's great. I appreciate that line. That is amazing. That's an amazing thought. Um, as far as the movie goes, this is about this real guy, wrote Catcher in the Rye. He goes off to war, and you can watch the movie yourself and experience the whole thing. After that, he has some shell shock, and he changes, and as a person and as just a war veteran that got shell shock, he changes. Um, it feels like it rushes through about 5 things in 5 minutes, and I didn't appreciate that. But it all makes sense and everything. It just feels like it fast forwards after that, and then it feels like it has to get to a point, and then when it gets there, it's fine. But it just feels a little rushed for about 15 minutes of the movie. And I'm just going, well, okay, well, that thing, okay, that thing's happening now too. You're going to go there? Okay. I had to kind of try and stick with it. But it's what, almost 2 hours? It's not too long. It's not too slow. I really think it's just handled appropriately. I really do. It's just in the middle there. You might feel like they're rushing things a little bit, and I agree with you. I just think that's the right way to feel. So, then the last 2 things I wrote here. Salinger gets kind of into the religion, sort of to help him with his post-war kind of feelings and thoughts and ways of, kind of learning how to write again. And this, I'll just say this spiritual leader of his was really just saying everything that I wanted him to say. Sometimes when we're watching a movie, people are just talking, and sometimes they come up with the craziest things to say. But in this movie, you're like, tell him blah, blah, blah. And he tells him exactly what you want him to say. It's very inspirational. I got a little emotional with this movie, to be honest. It's just handled correctly. Everybody says what they need to say. There are so many smart things that are said. I'll say this about Kevin Spacey's character. The stuff he is given to say seems like anybody could have said it. And that maybe he didn't have to work that hard at this movie to do a good acting job like he has in other movies where he's just been phenomenal. That's because he works hard at it and he sells it. The writing in this movie and the way that everybody balanced off of each other, you don't have to work hard. You can take it easy. You can just say the stuff and it comes flowing out like rainbows shooting out of people's mouths. It's just amazing. You just sit back and enjoy this movie, really. Because the last thing I wrote down is if it has conclusion with a certain character and a certain character. It does. It actually does what it needs to do. I am going to probably regret saying this, but this is a true story. And I loved it. I wish every movie was like this. You don't have to tell everything about a person's history. You don't have to explain 20 million characters to, do all these different sides of the story that we know about, like the Boston Marathon or 9/11. We all get different points of view of it. That's fine. You tell a movie about like this, like a historical writer and his personal life and what he went through and the struggles. It's okay to just cover everything, but have people balance off of each other and have beautiful writing and scenery and graphics. And this was just right. It's what it's supposed to be. It keeps you entertained and makes you laugh, makes you cry, and makes you surprised. It has great acting, and it has great storyline, and concludes when it needs to conclude. It gives you a glimpse into the future of what happens to him, so you don't have to be left guessing. That's the kind of movie I want to watch. I'll say it's a little slow, but it's not the word slow. It goes at its own pace, and maybe it might not be perfect for everybody. But everybody that's in this movie turns out such an amazing thing. I gotta give this movie an A+. People, watch it. I don't know if anybody is like me that has not seen Catcher in the Rye, or has not read Catcher in the Rye, but it doesn't really matter. This movie doesn't even really pay it much of a mind. And it gives a little bit of stuff that my age group has been told that it was controversial. It doesn't get into the whole part about where the book was banned, but that's fine. It's a movie. It doesn't have to explain every single detail. But it really just tells everything that you need to know, and maybe a little bit more that you want to. And it explains why this guy is going through the tremendous amount of pain that he had to go through and still do what made him happy in life. And I hope that's a lesson we can all take away from it and just appreciate this movie. I have not seen many what we call classic movies because I just haven't grown up with it. I haven't, seen A Beautiful Mind and been able to cherish it like I did this movie. But this movie is just right up there with some of the best ever. It's a drama, it's a comedy, it doesn't matter. It's a movie, and it is just set right. It was beautiful. I appreciated every minute of it. I was so intensely into it. And you don't get that very often. A+ for Rebel in the Rye. Please watch this movie. Make some time for it. Put it on your list of movies to own. I definitely will. My name is Danny, everybody. If you like this or any of my other reviews, please hit like and subscribe. And please put this on your list to watch. And enjoy all your other movies. Thanks, guys.